Ladies and gentlemen, we are living in one of the most extraordinary moments in the history of health. For generations, food was simply fuel, something we ate to fill our stomachs, satisfy cravings, or keep us going from one day to the next. But today, science is revealing something far more powerful. Every bite we take can influence our body's ability to resist illness, repair damage, and restore itself from within. This is the new science of eating, not dieting, not deprivation, but activation. Activation of the remarkable defense systems that each of us is born with. Systems that protect us every minute of every day. Our angiogenesis system that keeps our blood vessels healthy. Our immune system that guards against invaders. Our microbiome that communicates with our brain and metabolism. Our regeneration programs that replace damaged cells, and our DNA protection mechanism that shield us from daily harm. Food is far more than a source of calories, flavor, or comfort. Modern research shows that food has the power to activate the body's natural defense systems, biological networks that constantly protect us from illness. These systems work continuously, often without our awareness, and the compound found in everyday foods can strengthen, balance, and optimize them. Understanding this connection transforms the way we think about eating. Instead of viewing food merely as nourishment, we can see it as a tool that enhances our internal health machinery. One of the most important defense systems influenced by food is angiogenesis, the process that regulates how blood vessels grow in our bodies. Healthy angiogenesis ensures that every organ gets the right amount of blood flow. Too little, and tissues become starved. Too much, and abnormal vessels can feed diseases. Certain foods contain natural bioactives that help maintain the perfect balance. For example, the lycopene in tomatoes, catechins in green tea, and resveratrol in grapes help prevent the excessive blood vessel growth that can fuel harmful processes. On the other hand, foods like citrus fruits, nuts, and leafy greens can support the growth of vessels where more circulation is needed, such as in healing tissues. When we eat foods that support balanced angiogenesis, we're helping the body control something that medicine often struggles to regulate, yet food can do this gently and effectively. The immune system is another vital defense network profoundly shaped by what we eat. Immunity is not simply about fighting infections. It is a dynamic, intelligent system that monitors every corner of the body. It identifies threats, eliminates damaged cells, and helps maintain internal order. Stem cells in our bone marrow produce new immune cells every day, and many foods can enhance the performance of these cells. Mushrooms, for example, contain beta-glucans that boost immune vigilance. Blueberries can increase the activity of natural killer cells. Healthy fats like extra virgin olive oil help reduce chronic inflammation, allowing the immune system to stay sharp instead of being overwhelmed. We choose foods that strengthen immunity. We're not just preventing sickness. We're improving the body's ability to stay balanced, resilient, and ready. The microbiome, the community of trillions of bacteria that live in our gut, is now recognized as a central part of our defense. These organisms help regulate metabolism, immunity, mood, and even our response to treatment. What we eat determines which bacteria thrive, which disappear, and how well they function. Fiber-rich foods like beans, whole grains, fruits, and vegetables feed beneficial bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids compounds that strengthen the gut lining, reduce inflammation, and improve insulin sensitivity. Fermented foods like yogurt, kimchi, and kefir introduce helpful microbes that reinforce gut diversity. Even spices like turmeric and cinnamon can influence microbiome composition. A diverse, healthy microbiome acts as a shield, preventing harmful pathogens from taking root and training the immune system to respond appropriately. By feeding our microbiome well, we enhance a major protective system that influences nearly every aspect of our health. Regeneration, the body's ability to replace damaged cells with healthy ones, is another process fueled by food. Our tissues undergo continuous repair, and certain foods help activate stem cell activity. Dark chocolate with high cocoa content, for example, can stimulate stem cell release within hours. Pomegranate contains compounds that help cells resist stress and extend their health span. Nuts and seeds, rich in omega-3 fats, support cellular membranes and reduce the damage that accumulates over time. When we eat foods that encourage regeneration, we're supporting the body's natural renewal cycle, helping it repair microscopic damage long before it becomes noticeable. And finally, our DNA protection system is profoundly influenced by what we eat. Every day, our cells encounter harmful agents from sunlight to pollution to normal metabolic reactions that can damage DNA. While this damage is inevitable, our bodies have built-in repair mechanisms. Foods rich in antioxidants and polyphenols can support these systems and reduce the burden of oxidative stress. Green tea, berries, cruciferous vegetables, and herbs like rosemary contain compounds that not only neutralize free radicals, but also turn on genes responsible for DNA repair. This means the right foods can reduce long-term risk and help maintain cellular integrity. When we consider all these systems together, a clear picture emerges. Food is an activator. It doesn't work like a drug targeting only one problem. Instead, it works like a symphony conductor, harmonizing multiple systems that work together to protect us. This broader, more powerful understanding of food changes how we approach eating. With every meal, we have a chance to strengthen angiogenesis, immunity, the microbiome, regeneration, and DNA protection. In doing so, we're not simply aiming to avoid disease, we're actively building a body that is resilient, adaptable, and prepared. To thrive, eating is often treated as a simple, everyday act, something we do to satisfy hunger, pleasure, or routine. But the new science of health shows that food is far more influential. Each meal sends signals to the body that can strengthen or weaken its capacity to protect itself from disease. Our cells, organs, and biological systems respond to the molecules in food with remarkable precision. This means eating isn't just nourishment, it's a form of biological programming. With the right foods, we can optimize our internal environment. With the wrong ones, we can disrupt the delicate balance that keeps us healthy. Understanding this shifts our perspective from passive consumption to intentional action. The idea of food as a programming tool begins at the cellular level. Every cell in our body communicates through chemical signals, hormones, cytokines, neurotransmitters, and enzymes. When you eat, food molecules interact with these communication networks. They activate pathways that influence metabolism, immunity, inflammation, and even cell survival. For example, polyphenols in colorful vegetables can reduce inflammatory signals, allowing cells to function more efficiently. Omega-3 fats from foods like salmon, flaxseed, and walnuts integrate directly into cell membranes, improving communication between cells. These effects might be invisible, but they are powerful and cumulative. Over time, they determine whether the body moves toward health or disease. This programming effect extends to hormones, the body's chemical messengers. Hormones regulate appetite, metabolism, growth, stress responses, and more. Food influences the release, timing, and balance of hormones such as insulin, ghrelin, leptin, and cortisol. A meal rich in refined carbohydrates can spike insulin and trigger fat storage, while a meal with fiber, healthy fats, and plant-based proteins leads to a steady response that supports metabolic stability. Foods high in antioxidants and healthy fats can also help improve sensitivity to insulin, reducing the risk of metabolic disease. When we choose meals that stabilize hormones, we're directly influencing how our body manages energy, stores fat, and responds to stress. Another powerful example of how food programs the body can be seen in inflammation. Inflammation is not inherently harmful. Our bodies need it to fight injury and infection. But chronic, low-level inflammation disrupts normal functioning and contributes to conditions like heart disease, diabetes, neurodegeneration, and cancer. Food plays a central role in either amplifying or quieting this inflammation. Processed foods high in sugar, unhealthy oils, and artificial additives can push the body into a constant inflammatory state. On the other hand, foods rich in anti-inflammatory compounds like extra virgin olive oil, leafy greens, and spices help restore balance. Curcumin in turmeric, for instance, has been shown to interrupt inflammatory pathways at multiple points. When we select foods that silence chronic inflammation, we are effectively programming the body toward resilience. Metabolism is also dramatically shaped by what we eat. Metabolism isn't just how quickly we burn calories. It's the entire set of chemical reactions that sustain life. Some foods can increase metabolic efficiency by prompting the body to burn fat for energy, while others can slow metabolism over time. Green tea contains compounds that enhance fat-burning enzymes. Chili peppers contain capsaicin, which boosts energy expenditure. High-fiber foods steady blood sugar, avoiding the crashes that stress metabolic systems. When we eat nutrient-dense foods, we support the mitochondria, the energy-producing engines of our cells. Strong mitochondrial function translates into better energy, improved endurance, and reduced disease risk. Thus, every meal is a chance to support or undermine metabolic health. The gut-brain connection offers yet another layer of evidence. Food influences neurotransmitters that affect mood, cognition, and stress response. Serotonin, often called the feel-good hormone, is primarily produced in the gut. The bacteria in our digestive system help regulate its production. When we eat foods that support these beneficial bacteria, such as fiber-rich vegetables, fruits, legumes, and fermented foods, we're indirectly influencing our mental health. Conversely, diets rich in processed foods can create an imbalance that affects both digestion and emotional well-being. This shows how deeply food programs not just the body, but also the mind. One of the most profound realizations from this science is that food programming happens whether we are aware of it or not. Every bite initiates biochemical reactions. The key is becoming conscious of how our choices shape those reactions. When we choose foods filled with phytonutrients, antioxidants, healthy fats, and natural fibers, we turn on protective pathways. We strengthen immunity, support cellular repair, and reduce oxidative stress. We encourage healthy gene expression, turning on good genes and silencing harmful ones. With the wrong foods, we activate pathways that generate damage, increase susceptibility to illness, and accelerate aging. This understanding transforms eating from something passive into something empowering. It means we don't have to wait for illness to strike or for symptoms to appear. We can program our biology every day with foods that support the body's highest potential. Eating becomes a way to shape our future health, improve daily performance, and extend longevity. Instead of asking, "What do I want to eat?" we can ask, "What do I want my food to do for me today?" When we embrace food as a biological programmer, every meal becomes a meaningful choice that sets our trajectory toward a stronger, more resilient, anti-disease body. Many people are surprised to learn that some of the most impactful health-boosting tools are not supplements, exotic powders, or medical interventions, but everyday foods available in almost every market. Simple ingredients: berries, tea, olive oil, tomatoes, mushrooms contain natural bioactive compounds that work with our biology in profound ways. These foods don't just improve general wellness, they influence measurable processes inside the body that help prevent, slow, or even repair disease-related changes. Understanding how these common foods affect our health gives us the power to turn every meal into an opportunity for protection and healing. Consider berries, for example. Their vibrant colors come from anthocyanins, a class of polyphenols that have been shown to enhance the activity of specific immune cells, particular natural killer cells. These cells act like the body's internal security team, scanning for viruses and abnormal cells. In scientific studies, people who ate blueberries daily experienced a significant increase in natural killer cell function. Berries also reduce inflammation and oxidative stress, both of which contribute to chronic illness. What makes berries especially powerful is their accessibility and versatility. Whether eaten fresh, frozen, or added to meals, their protective effects remain strong. Small, consistent amounts can translate to meaningful changes in cellular activity. Green tea offers another compelling example. It contains catechins, especially EGCG, which have been extensively studied for their ability to improve metabolism, support immunity, and protect DNA from damage. Green tea also contains natural antiviral properties and compounds that support the growth of beneficial gut bacteria. In addition, studies show green tea can help regulate angiogenesis, the process by which blood vessels grow, keeping it in balance so that harmful excess vessel growth doesn't feed disease pathways. Drinking green tea regularly isn't just hydrating, it supports multiple defense systems simultaneously. Olive oil, particularly extra virgin olive oil, functions almost like liquid medicine. It is rich in polyphenols such as oleocanthal, which has natural anti-inflammatory properties similar to certain pharmaceutical drugs, yet without the side effects. Olive oil helps reduce chronic inflammation, improves lipid profiles, and supports the health of the endothelial cells that line our blood vessels. These benefits translate into better cardiovascular function and reduced risk of metabolic issues. Just a few tablespoons a day can have measurable effects on markers of inflammation and oxidative stress. What makes olive oil remarkable is that its benefits accumulate over time, supporting long-term resilience. Tomatoes are another powerful everyday food with significant biological effects. Their bright red color comes from lycopene, a carotenoid with strong antioxidant properties. Lycopene helps protect cells from oxidative stress and supports the body's ability to control abnormal blood vessel growth. Cooking tomatoes with healthy fats, such as olive oil, dramatically increases lycopene absorption, making traditional dishes like tomato sauces or stews especially beneficial. Tomatoes are also rich in vitamins and other phytochemicals that work synergistically, meaning their combined effect is greater than the sum of their parts. Their protective properties extend to heart health, skin integrity, and cellular function. Mushrooms, often overlooked, are one of the most powerful immune-supporting foods. Varieties such as shiitake, maitake, and oyster mushrooms contain beta-glucan, which enhance the activity of immune cells like macrophages and T cells. These compounds help the body respond quickly and appropriately to threats. Certain mushrooms also support angiogenesis balance and contain natural antioxidants that help repair cellular damage. Even common white button mushrooms possess immune-regulating qualities. When mushrooms are cooked, their beneficial compounds become more bioavailable, allowing the body to take full advantage of their protective effects. These foods share something important. They don't target just one system or one disease. Their bioactive compounds influence multiple defense pathways simultaneously. A single serving of berries, for example, may support immunity, reduce inflammation, enhance vascular function, and protect DNA. Green tea influences metabolism, angiogenesis, and the microbiome all at once. Olive oil improves cellular communication, reduces inflammation, and helps maintain healthy blood vessels. This multi-targeted support is something pharmaceutical drugs cannot replicate easily. Drugs are designed to hit one target at a time. Food works with biology in a more natural, integrated way. What's also significant is that these foods work best when consumed consistently over time, not in extreme quantities. The body responds to these bioactives gradually through repeated exposure. This means incorporating these foods into daily life is more powerful than occasional superfood binges. A handful of berries each morning, a cup or two of green tea during the day, olive oil on salads or vegetables, regular serving of tomatoes and mushrooms over weeks, months, and years. These choices compound into stronger, more resilient health. These foods also encourage a positive ripple effect. When we choose foods that support our defenses, we often end up crowding out less beneficial options. A diet rich in natural, protective foods tends to leave less room for processed ingredients that drive inflammation and metabolic dysfunction. The shift doesn't have to be extreme. Even small changes can create measurable improvements. Ultimately, the power of these everyday foods lies not just in their nutritional content, but in their biological influence. They work with the body's natural defense systems, amplifying the mechanisms that keep us healthy. Their effects are cumulative, accessible, and scientifically measurable. By including foods like berries, green tea, olive oil, tomatoes, and mushrooms regularly, we activate the body's ability to defend, repair, and restore itself. These simple ingredients become tools for building an anti-disease body, one meal at a time. One of the most empowering insights from modern nutrition science is that we don't have to wait until something goes wrong before we start caring for our health. For a long time, people were taught to think reactively change your diet after a diagnosis. Exercise only when weight becomes a concern. Manage stress only when symptoms appear. But this approach overlooks a profound truth. The body is constantly adapting, repairing, and defending itself long before any symptoms emerge. And food plays one of the most important roles in shaping these processes. Eating proactively means using food to strengthen the body's internal defenses before disease ever has a chance to take root. It is a shift from crisis management to long-term health building. The body is not a passive organism waiting to be harmed. It is dynamic and equipped with sophisticated defense systems designed to protect us every moment of our lives. However, These systems need consistent support. When they are nourished with anti-inflammatory, antioxidant-rich, microbiome-supportive foods, they function at their best. When they are overloaded with processed sugars, unhealthy fats, and chemical additives, they become less effective. Proactive eating is about giving these protective systems the environment they need to thrive. Instead of reacting to disease, we cultivate conditions that make disease far less likely to develop. One of the key benefits of proactive eating is the cumulative effect it has on the body. A single healthy meal may have immediate benefits, but it's the daily pattern that transforms long-term health. For example, eating foods that support balanced angiogenesis can help keep blood vessels functioning optimally for decades. Foods that boost immune resilience help the immune system respond more effectively to everyday challenges long before illness develops. Foods that support the microbiome can create a gut environment that influences metabolism, mood, immunity, and inflammation across a lifetime. These protective effects build gradually, like compound interest. Over time, the body becomes more resilient, more efficient, and better equipped to handle physical and environmental stresses. This proactive approach also leverages the body's natural ability to adapt. When we regularly consume nutrient-rich whole foods, we train our systems to operate in harmony. For example, consistently eating foods high in fiber, polyphenols, and healthy fats teaches the body to regulate blood sugar more efficiently. This reduces the strain on insulin-producing cells and lowers the risk of developing insulin resistance long before symptoms appear. Similarly, foods rich in antioxidants help the body manage oxidative stress, preventing cellular damage that might later lead to chronic disease. By reinforcing the body's natural rhythms, proactive eating sets up a foundation for long-term stability. Another powerful aspect of proactive eating is its ability to influence gene expression. While our genetic blueprint is fixed, the way our genes behave is highly influenced by our environment and lifestyle choices. Compounds found in foods like green tea, blueberries, olive oil, broccoli, and nuts can activate genes that promote cellular repair and silence genes that contribute to inflammation or disease development. This means we are not prisoners of our genetic risks. Through proactive dietary choices, we can steer our biology toward protection. Proactive eating also creates a psychological shift. When we eat with the intention of building long-term health, we transition from fear-based decision-making to empowerment-based decision-making. Instead of avoiding foods out of guilt or restriction, we choose foods because of the benefits they provide. This mindset encourages abundance rather than deprivation. People often find that proactive eating becomes enjoyable and sustainable because it is rooted in positive goals: more energy, better immunity, stronger metabolism, improved mood, and enhanced longevity. This positive reinforcement leads to consistent habits that improve overall well-being. There is also a social and cultural benefit to proactive eating. When people see food as a tool for long-term health, they often begin to share healthier meals with family and friends, creating an environment where nutritious choices become the new normal. Proactive eating can be integrated into daily routines. Simple swaps like choosing olive oil instead of processed oils, adding berries to breakfast, drinking green tea instead of sugary beverages, or including mushrooms and greens in regular meals. These small habits create ripple effects, not just for the individual, but for entire households and communities. Moreover, proactive eating helps reduce the burden of chronic diseases that often develop silently over years. Conditions like heart disease, diabetes, cognitive decline, and many cancers do not appear suddenly. They develop gradually as the body faces repeated insults. By supporting the body through proactive eating, we intervene early in this process. We strengthen cellular defenses, minimize inflammation, and optimize metabolic function. The body is far less likely to become overwhelmed when its systems are continuously supported. This means we preserve vitality instead of fighting to reclaim it later. Ultimately, proactive eating is about shaping our health destiny. It recognizes that disease prevention is not a single action, but a daily practice. Each meal becomes an opportunity to reinforce the body's natural resilience. Each food choice becomes a step toward a stronger, more vibrant future. By embracing proactive eating, we claim the power to influence our biology long before illness strikes. building a foundation that allows us to thrive throughout life. New science of eating encourages us to move away from a mindset built on restriction, fear, and guilt, and toward one grounded in abundance, curiosity, and empowerment. For decades, people have been bombarded with lists of what not to eat. Don't eat sugar, don't eat fat, don't eat carbs, don't eat late, don't eat too much, don't eat too little. This negative framing often leads to frustration, confusion, and a sense of deprivation. It can make food feel like an enemy instead of a source of nourishment and vitality. But a more effective and sustainable approach focuses on what we can add to our diet to strengthen health. Abundance changes everything. It shifts the conversation from restriction to opportunity, from fear to optimism. A key part of this perspective is understanding that the body thrives when it receives a diverse array of nutrients, phytochemicals, fiber, healthy fats, and natural compounds that support its defense systems. When we focus on adding foods rich in these elements rather than obsessing over cutting foods out, we naturally create a diet that supports healing, longevity, and resilience. For instance, adding more berries, leafy greens, nuts, whole grains, seafood, mushrooms, spices, and healthy oils gradually fills our meals with powerful bioactive molecules. As these foods occupy more space on the plate, there is simply less room for ultra-processed, nutrient-poor foods. The shift unfolds naturally without the pressure of strict rules. Adding foods also encourages dietary diversity, which is essential for supporting the microbiome. A diverse microbiome strengthens immunity, regulates metabolism, and reduces inflammation. When people adopt a restrictive mindset, they often eat from a narrow range of foods, but when they embrace abundance, they explore more flavors, textures, and ingredients. This leads to a richer assortment of plant fibers and polyphenols reaching the gut, which in turn feeds beneficial bacteria. Over time, this increased diversity has measurable impacts on health. Rather than feeling limited, people feel expanded, able to discover new foods and enjoy a wider spectrum of nourishment. Another advantage of an abundance-based approach is sustainability. Restrictive diets often work for a short time but fail in the long run because they rely on willpower rather than pleasure. Humans are wired to seek satisfaction from food. When we force ourselves to avoid foods entirely, cravings become stronger and eating becomes stressful. In contrast, when we add delicious, vibrant, nutrient-rich foods, the experience is enjoyable. Meals feel fuller, richer, and more satisfying. Pleasure becomes an ally rather than an obstacle. This makes it easier to maintain healthy eating patterns for months, years, and even decades. Focusing on what we can add instead of what we remove also encourages a positive emotional relationship with food. Instead of feeling punished or deprived, people feel supported and empowered. This mindset can reduce emotional eating and help break the cycle of guilt that often accompanies unhealthy food choices. When someone thinks, "What can I add to this meal to support my body?" the meal becomes a moment of self-care rather than self-criticism. This simple reframe changes behavior in profound ways. Over time, it nurtures consistency because it reinforces a sense of progress and well-being rather than restriction. An abundance mindset also helps people make healthier choices spontaneously. When nutrient-rich foods become part of daily life, cravings for processed foods naturally diminish. For example, when meals are filled with natural sweetness from fruits, fiber from vegetables, healthy fats from olive oil or nuts, and savory umami from mushrooms or tomatoes, highly processed foods lose some of their appeal. The body begins to crave nourishment rather than empty calories. This shift happens gradually as the palate adapts. Instead of forcing a change, we allow it to unfold organically. What's more, this approach honors cultural and personal preferences. Restrictive diets often clash with people's traditions or lifestyles, but adding health-promoting foods can be done within any cuisine: Mediterranean, Asian, African, Latin American, Middle Eastern, or any fusion of flavors. A person can keep their favorite dishes while enhancing them with foods that activate the body's defense systems. This inclusivity is essential because foods tied to family, culture, and memory bring emotional nourishment as well. Importantly, the abundance approach aligns with how the body's defense systems function. These systems thrive on support, not deprivation. Immunity needs vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and healthy fats. Angiogenesis requires polyphenols and natural compounds found in foods like green tea, tomatoes, and berries. The microbiome needs diverse fibers. Regeneration relies on plant compounds and omega-3 fatty acids. DNA protection depends on antioxidants and phytochemicals. By emphasizing addition over subtraction, we naturally supply these systems with what they need to stay strong. Ultimately, focusing on abundance empowers us to eat with intention and joy. It removes the pressure of perfection and replaces it with curiosity. What new food can I explore today? What can I add to support my body? This mindset makes healthy eating feel achievable, enjoyable, and deeply rewarding. It transforms eating from a struggle into an empowering daily act. In choosing abundance, we open the door to a lifelong relationship with food that builds health. Rather than fear, each meal we eat carries far more significance than most of us realize. While eating often feels like a routine act, something we do because it's time, because we're hungry, or because food is available, every bite sends signals that influence our biology. This is why the idea that each meal is an opportunity to build an anti-disease body is so powerful. It shifts eating from an unconscious habit to a deliberate practice with the potential to shape our health trajectory. Instead of thinking of meals as isolated events, we can see them as cumulative investments in long-term resilience, vitality, and disease resistance. The most remarkable part of this idea is its accessibility. Building an anti-disease body doesn't require rare ingredients, complicated protocols, or perfect adherence. It simply asks us to be intentional with what we choose, understanding that food acts as a daily dose of information for the body. Foods rich in antioxidants, polyphenols, healthy fats, fiber, natural bioactive supply. The body's defense systems with the raw materials they need to function optimally. Over time, these choices influence immunity, inflammation levels, metabolic balance, gut health, vascular integrity, and cellular repair. This accumulation of small decisions can profoundly impact our overall health. When we think of each meal as an opportunity, it also helps break the discouraging all or nothing thinking that undermines many people's attempts to eat well. Instead of believing that a single indulgence or off-track meal has ruined everything, we can recognize that health is built through patterns, not perfection. There's always another chance to make supportive choices: breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. It's all a series of opportunities, each one capable of nudging the body in a beneficial direction. This perspective fosters consistency rather than guilt, allowing people to maintain healthier habits with less stress. Seeing meals as opportunities also encourages mindfulness. When we ask ourselves, how can this meal support my body's defenses? We slow down and consider our options. Perhaps we choose whole grains instead of refined ones, add berries to yogurt, include mushrooms in a stir fry, or drizzle olive oil over vegetables. These small additions accumulate into measurable biological effects. Mindfulness around food doesn't need to be complicated. It simply invites us to pause and consider how our choices make us feel physically and mentally. Over time, this awareness becomes intuitive, guiding us toward foods that energize, nourish, and sustain us. This approach also highlights the transformative power of incremental change. Adding one extra serving of vegetables per day, replacing sugary drinks with tea, or including nuts and seeds in snacks may seem insignificant in the moment. But these consistent choices activate defense pathways every single day, enhancing immune vigilance, supporting healthy blood vessels, improving microbial diversity, and reducing oxidative damage. As weeks turn into months, these tiny shifts create a biological environment that is far less hospitable to disease. They reinforce the idea that protecting our health is not about dramatic overhauls, but about steady, meaningful actions taken repeatedly. Another key aspect of viewing each meal as an opportunity is the psychological empowerment it brings. When people understand that their daily choices matter, they feel more in control of their well-being. It creates a sense of partnership with the body. We give the body tools, and the body responds with strength. This empowerment counters the helplessness many people feel in the face of chronic disease. Instead of waiting passively for illness to appear, we can take proactive steps every day to build resilience. This mindset fosters hope and motivation, which are essential for sustaining long-term habits. Meals also become more meaningful when we see them as investments. Food transforms from something rushed or overlooked into something intentional. This can deepen our appreciation for cooking, family meals, and shared experiences. Choosing foods that support health doesn't mean sacrificing pleasure. In fact, many of the most protective foods, berries, spices, olive oil, herbs, tomatoes, nuts, fresh vegetables, seafood, are also some of the most delicious. When meals are crafted with intention, they offer both enjoyment and nourishment. Pleasure and health no longer sit in opposition, they work together. Importantly, this perspective acknowledges that health is never built in a single moment. It is built across thousands of meals over the years. Each meal contributes a small part of the whole, and every opportunity we seize strengthens the body's cumulative defense. This is why long-term nourishment matters more than short-term perfection. Even if someone starts later in life or begins with small changes, the body responds quickly. Defense systems react immediately to the bioactive compounds in food, and positive changes can be measured in immune activity, vascular function, gut health, and metabolic markers within days or weeks. Ultimately, seeing each meal as an opportunity transforms eating into a daily act of self-support. It reminds us that we have influence over our internal environment. We can choose foods that strengthen our biology, reinforce our resilience, and protect our long-term health. Every meal today, tomorrow, and every day after becomes a step toward building an anti-disease body, one thoughtful choice at a time.